Growing up in a modest middle-class family in the suburbs of Milwaukee, my life followed a predictable path. My father, Peter, dedicated 29 years to the police force before his retirement, while my mother, Tiffany, continues her work as a secretary at Lincoln Elementary School. They provided me with a stable and loving home, though we were never affluent. My name is Frances, though I later became Frances Smith after marriage. After earning an accounting degree, I secured a position at Anderson and Partners, a moderately sized accounting firm. The job offered decent pay and consistent work, and I settled into a routine of workdays that blended seamlessly into one another. However, my life took an unexpected turn one rainy Tuesday in October when I accidentally collided with Austin outside Pete's Coffee. In my haste to grab a morning coffee, I spilled it all over his expensive suit. Mortified, I offered to cover the dry cleaning, but Austin just laughed it off and playfully suggested dinner as compensation. That dinner led to many more, and soon I was deeply involved with Austin Smith, whose parents, Jeremy and Amber, owned one of the Midwest's largest manufacturing enterprises. Despite his affluent background, Austin never made me feel inferior. He admired my real family background, as he put it. The true test came when Austin took me to meet his parents at their opulent Lake Bluff mansion. Amber Smith scrutinized me as if I were an unwanted blemish, making it clear with her demeaning tone and piercing gaze that I was an outsider. Despite my straightforward admission of being an accountant with simple family roots, their response was chilly, to say the least. 4 months later, Austin proposed, and I accepted without a second thought. His parents managed only curt congratulations at our wedding. I hoped that over time, love would bridge the divide between us. Following our honeymoon in Bali, we moved into Austin's expansive downtown Milwaukee apartment, which offered breathtaking views of Lake Michigan from its towering windows. It felt surreal, like living in a dream. Our joy multiplied when I discovered I was pregnant. Austin was overjoyed, and even his parents seemed to warm up slightly to the news, though Amber remarked snidely about the baby's good breeding. Our son, Ethan, as we affectionately called him, was born on a chilly December morning. Holding him, I felt a profound joy that overshadowed any of Amber's critical comments or the whispered judgments at company events about the accountant who snagged the boss's son. Ethan's arrival brought happiness and a sense of completeness. The initial years of Ethan's life were filled with bliss. Austin embraced fatherhood wholeheartedly, cherishing every moment with Ethan, from reading bedtime stories to enjoying weekends at the park. His career as the financial director at Smith Industries flourished, and for a time, it seemed our little family might prove that love truly was enough. While working part-time from home as an accountant and taking care of our son Ethan and our household, I noticed that Austin's parents, Amber and Jeremy, though not fond of me, absolutely adored their grandson. They lavished him with costly gifts and frequently insisted on visiting. But as Ethan approached his 3rd birthday, I sensed a shift. Austin started returning home increasingly late, always attributing his tardiness to a significant work project, claiming it was too complex for me to grasp. The man who once hurried home to spend time with his son now barely managed to make it to bedtime. Then, one windy Thursday, Amber arrived at our apartment unexpectedly, her designer scarf impeccably in place despite the blustery conditions. She didn't bother to wait for an invitation before she began interrogating me. "Would you care to explain," she demanded, "why you were absent from the company's annual gala last night?" I was taken aback, unaware there had been a gala at all. "Don't play dumb, Frances. It was the Smith Industries anniversary gala. Every executive and their spouse was there. Except for you." My heart sank. I had no idea there had been any gala. Amber's eyes narrowed as she continued. "Austin told us you weren't feeling well. Are you saying my son lied?" That night, I waited up for Austin in the dimly lit living room. He didn't get home until 12:20 p.m. "Surprised to see me awake," he began. "Why didn't you tell me about the gala?" I asked in a hushed tone. He sighed, pouring himself a scotch. "Look, Frances, let's be honest. You wouldn't have fit in. The other executives' wives, they know how to conduct themselves. They discuss art, wine, and their summer homes in the Hamptons. What would you have contributed? Tales of your dad's police beat or your mom's school cafeteria anecdotes. His words stung, as if he had physically struck me. I'm your wife, Austin. You're supposed to be proud of me, not ashamed. He replied, I was proud, Francis, when we were dating. Your simplicity was charming, but as the financial director, I need a spouse who can be more. Devastated, I went to bed alone that night, tears streaming down my face, hoping it was all just stress speaking. But deep down, I knew something fundamental had shifted between us, possibly beyond repair. On a routine Tuesday, as I was cleaning around our apartment while Austin worked late yet again, I entered his home office. His laptop was open, the screen still glowing. Ordinarily, I respected his privacy, but that evening, something stopped me. His email was displayed, and curiosity overcame me. I sat down and started reading an email thread with a person named Hannah, a marketing executive at Smith Industries. My hands trembled as I read their exchanges, dating back several months. The emails revealed a disdainful narrative about me. Austin referred to me as the village idiot to Hannah, lamenting about having to come home to me. Hannah's replies were just as cutting. Poor baby, don't worry, I'll make it all better tomorrow. They mocked me as if I were a mere joke, a naive wife oblivious to her husband's affair. The thread contained discussions of gifts he had bought for Hannah and their planned weekend getaways. As I absorbed the deceit and betrayal in those messages, my world crumbled around me. The simple-minded wife narrative they spun was not only painful, but a stark revelation of how little I truly meant to my husband. This was a betrayal I wasn't sure I could forgive. Overwhelmed and heartbroken, I spent the entire night gathering evidence of Austin's infidelity. As he claimed to be attending business conferences, I copied emails to a USB drive, took screenshots, and printed out key pieces of correspondence. When Austin returned home at 8 a.m., his appearance disheveled, I was ready, sitting at the kitchen table with the damning evidence laid out before me. Care to explain? I demanded, lifting one of the emails for him to see. His response shocked me. He laughed, a cold, dismissive sound. Come on, Francis. Did you think you were enough? Hannah is everything you're not. Sophisticated, sexy, exciting. When was the last time you even tried to make yourself look nice to me? His words cut deep. I've been here, taking care of our son, while you've been out betraying our family, I retorted, my voice trembling with emotion. Nonchalantly pouring himself a coffee, he responded as if discussing something as mundane as the weather. Here's the deal. You stay as my wife officially, for the sake of appearances at work. Hannah's fine with it. And who knows, maybe I'll make time for you now, and then if you're lucky. Furious and heartbroken, I immediately went to Ethan's room, hastily packing a bag for him as he slept. Gently waking him, I whispered, we're going to visit Grandma and Grandpa for a bit, okay? As I collected Ethan and our things, Austin watched from the doorway, smugly remarking, you'll be back. Where else could you go? Without a word, I walked past him, tears streaming down my face, and drove straight to my parents' home. My mom greeted us at the door in her bathrobe and immediately pulled me into a comforting embrace. 5 days later, Amber Smith herself delivered the divorce papers to my parents' home, her expression smug. I always knew you weren't right for my son, she sneered as she handed me the envelope. I'm just relieved he finally realized it too. The divorce quickly escalated as Austin not only sought to end our marriage, but also filed for full custody of Ethan. His lawyer painted a completely false image of me as an unfit mother. During the first court hearing, his lawyer portrayed me as unstable and erratic, but I was prepared. My lawyer presented the emails, revealing Austin's affair and his demeaning comments about me, which visibly shifted the judge's perspective. The evidence clearly showed that Austin was the deceitful one, not me. The judge ruled in my favor, granting me primary custody of Ethan, with Austin receiving visitation every other weekend and ordered to pay substantial child support. I returned to full-time work at the accounting firm, while my parents enthusiastically took on grandparent duties. Life settled into a new, honest, and peaceful rhythm until one Sunday, when Austin showed up at my parents' modest home in a luxury vehicle, Hannah in tow. She stepped out, dressed extravagantly, looking disdainfully at our simple, lived-in surroundings. As she scoffed at a family photo, calling our home literally a dump, I felt my patience wane. "Watch your mouth," I warned sharply. She turned to Austin and sneered, "You can't let your son stay in this." But I stood firm, ready to protect my son and our dignity, no matter what. As Hannah disparaged my elderly parents, indicating they belonged in a ditch somewhere, my body trembled with uncontrollable anger. "Get out," I demanded, my voice shaking. "Both of you, get out of my parents' house right now." "Or what?" Austin retorted with a sneer. "You know what, Francis? I'm done playing nice. I'm going to take Ethan, and I'm going to destroy you. Do you think you won in court? Just wait." With no more patience left, I pushed them towards the door. "Get out." As they left, Hannah taunted, "Come on, baby, this place probably has fleas anyway." Watching their luxury car drive away, I embraced my parents, feeling my mother's tears and seeing the fury in my father's eyes. But as the car vanished down our street, a new sensation overtook me. I was no longer afraid. I was filled with righteous anger. The next evening, as I sat numbly at the kitchen table, my dad joined me with a determined look. "Sweetheart," he began, "sometimes the best defense is a good offense. Remember Mr. Henry? He worked with me and is now a private investigator. He's thorough and discreet." His words sparked an idea, especially after recent cruel online comments from Hannah and demeaning emails from Austin. "How much does Mr. Henry charge?" I asked. Soon after, I found myself in Mr. Henry's downtown office, a gruff yet kind man I'd known since childhood. As weeks of harassment continued, Mr. Henry worked quietly in the background. Then one day, he urgently called me into his office. "Sit down," he said, handing me a thick file. "Hannah isn't her real name. She's been using her sister's identity. Her real name is Evelyn." As I flipped through the pages, my shock deepened. Evelyn had a history as an escort and was known for living off wealthy men until they caught on to her scams. She had used multiple aliases in various cities, always escaping just before being exposed. Mr. Henry then showed me evidence of her current schemes. "Look at these bank transfers," he pointed out. Evelyn had been quietly funneling small, unnoticeable amounts from Smith Industries accounts. Additionally, she had been leaking sensitive company info, product launches, and merger plans to competitors. And here, Mr. Henry continued, revealing the final blow. She sold the bid info for a huge deal last month to a competitor, costing Smith a fortune. Armed with this explosive information, I meticulously prepared multiple copies, but held back on acting immediately. Patience, I knew, was crucial. Then, unexpectedly, Amber called to inform me coldly about an upcoming family event. "Francis, Jeremy's 62nd birthday party is this Sunday," she stated, sounding as enthusiastic as if she were announcing a dental appointment. This timing, I realized, could not have been more perfect. While they preferred to keep it a family-only affair, Amber begrudgingly acknowledged that Ethan needed to be at his grandfather Jeremy's 62nd birthday. "He's too young to come alone," she said, her voice dripping with insincerity. She made it clear I was invited solely as Ethan's chaperone and advised me to stay in the background to avoid any embarrassment. Jeremy's 55th birthday bash was as lavish as one might expect, with the mansion adorned in gold and crystal and waiters serving champagne from silver trays. As Ethan and I entered, I could feel every judgmental gaze fixed on us. Amber's greeting was a tight-lipped smile. "Oh, you came. Well, Ethan, darling, come, kiss grandmother," she said, whisking him away to show him off like a trophy. I lingered near the appetizer table, feeling isolated as guests either ignored me or whispered as they passed by. Clutching my purse, which contained Mr. Henry's file full of evidence, I waited for the right moment. Then Austin entered Hannah on his arm, clad in a stunning red Valentino dress, her appearance sparkling with diamonds. "Everyone," Austin announced, tapping his glass to command attention, "I have an announcement. I'd like you all to meet my future wife, Hannah. She will officially join the Smith family next spring." Amber rushed to embrace Hannah, exclaiming, "Finally, a woman worthy of the Smith name." Harvard educated, from a wonderful family, she gushed, casting a disparaging glance my way. Jeremy echoed the sentiment with a derisive look in my direction. Hannah basked in their praise, declaring how blessed she felt to be joining such a distinguished family and vowing to be the wife Austin deserved. That was my cue. Standing up, my voice steady, I interrupted the proceedings. Speaking of what people deserve, I announced, holding the file aloft, I have a few things to share about the future, Mrs. Smith. Austin's face darkened. Francis, don't make a scene, he warned. Ignoring him, I addressed Hannah directly. Tell me, Hannah, or should I say Evelyn, how's your sister feeling about you stealing her identity? The room fell silent, all eyes now on us. Hannah's complexion paled. Amber demanded an explanation. What is she talking about? I revealed, the real Hannah is a school teacher in Minnesota. This woman, I pointed at Hannah, is actually Evelyn, former escort and con artist. Hannah's protest was weak. She's lying, she cried out, but I was already laying out the evidence. Photographs, bank statements, police reports. And here's my personal favorite, I continued, presenting documents that showed illicit bank transfers and emails detailing her sale of company secrets to competitors like Wagner Manufacturing and Collins Corp. Jeremy snatched the papers from my hand, his eyes scanning the damning evidence. The Wagner deal, the Collins merger, it was you? He realized, his voice seething with anger. Hannah stammered, trying to explain, but Jeremy was beyond listening. The room's atmosphere shifted palpably as Austin, Amber, and the other guests absorbed the reality of her deception. Jeremy's face turned a deep shade of purple with fury. Get out, he roared at Hannah, who still tried to salvage the situation. Get out of my house before I have you arrested. As she reached out, trying to touch his arm, he recoiled. Explain? Explain how you cost us the Wagner deal worth $35 million. And Collins, our biggest competitor, he shouted, disbelief and rage mixing in his voice. The elegant birthday party dissolved into utter chaos, with Hannah's facade crumbling publicly, her deceit laid bare for all the Smith family to see. As Amber flipped through the incriminating records detailing Hannah's history as an escort, her expression turned venomous. You common prostitute, she spat out at Hannah, who was already edging towards the exit, her designer heels clicking against the marble floor. You thought you could con your way into our families? Hannah, desperation etching her face, appealed to Austin. Austin, baby, tell them, she pleaded. But Austin was pale, his eyes fixed on the photographs that chronicled Hannah's liaisons with various affluent men. His silence spoke volumes. Jeremy, with a chilling calmness, issued a stark warning. If you're not off my property in 40 seconds, I'm calling the police, and trust me, our lawyers will be involved either way. Hannah didn't need further prompting, she fled. As the door slammed behind her, Jeremy turned to confront his son. The guests might have seemed engrossed in their drinks, but all eyes were on the unfolding drama. You brought this woman into our company, Jeremy accused, voice thick with disappointment. Gave her access to confidential information all because what? She was pretty? Had nice legs? He caught himself, aware of Ethan's presence, and tempered his words. You thought with everything except your brain. You're fired, Austin. Clear out your office by tomorrow. Austin tried to interject, but Dad, and that apartment you're living in, it's company property. Find somewhere else. Jeremy cut him off. Amidst this, Amber turned to me, her usual sharp demeanor softened by what seemed like genuine emotion. Francis, she began, her tone surprisingly warm, we owe you an apology, a significant one. You saved our company from unimaginable damage. Jeremy nodded in agreement, solemnity etched on his face. We were wrong about you, very wrong. You've proven yourself more worthy of the Smith name than... He glanced at Austin, leaving the sentence hanging. 5 days later, news broke that Hannah had been arrested at O'Hare Airport attempting to flee to the Cayman Islands. The evidence I had collected, coupled with the findings of Smith Industries' legal team, led to her facing serious fraud charges. Meanwhile, Austin was reduced to staying at a friend's condo, his career in ruins. No reputable financial firm would employ someone dismissed for such negligence. It's been half a year since the upheaval at Jeremy's birthday party reshaped everything. Now, I live in a new apartment, a modest place compared to the one I shared with Austin, but perfect for Ethan and me. The Smith family, as a gesture of their gratitude for my role in exposing Hannah, had given me the apartment. The least we could do, Jeremy had said as he handed me the keys, an acknowledgement of the ordeal. The apartment, nestled in a friendly neighborhood close to excellent schools, feels like a true home. Ethan's room bursts with superhero posters, and my small office overlooks a park. It's not a penthouse with a lake view, but it feels genuinely ours. Austin moved to California last month. He maintains a connection with Ethan, calling him every Sunday evening. Their conversations are brief, Ethan being too young for long chats, but Austin is making an effort to be a father from afar. He never asks to speak to me, and that suits me just fine. Some bridges are better left as ashes. The most significant shift has been with the Smith family, particularly Amber, who now visits weekly with gifts for Ethan and, surprisingly, for me as well. Last week, she brought a beautiful orchid for my windowsill. The real turnaround, though, was when Amber and Jeremy invited my parents over for dinner. Given our last encounter, I was apprehensive, but I realized that perhaps this was the beginning of a new chapter, one where past grievances could finally be laid to rest. The last time everyone had been gathered together was at my wedding, an occasion where the differences in social class were quite noticeable. However, a change has occurred since then. I observed with surprise as Jeremy engaged my father in conversation about his police career, showing a real interest in his experiences. Meanwhile, Amber and my mother bonded over their gardening passions, sharing tips on cultivating roses. At the close of the evening, Amber turned to my mom and remarked, "Tiffany, you and Peter have raised an exceptional daughter. We regret not recognizing it sooner." My mother responded with calm pride, "We've always known what Francis could achieve. Sometimes others need more time to see it. Life isn't flawless. There are days I find myself missing the man I believed Austin to be, and I worry about how Ethan will cope with having a father who is far away. But then I see Ethan, vibrant and thriving, spending time with all of his grandparents, and I feel reassured about our future." Recently, Ethan came across an old wedding photo of Austin and me. "Do you miss Daddy?" he inquired. Sitting beside him, I pulled him in close. "Sometimes," I admitted openly. "But remember, life doesn't always unfold as we plan. It can go awry before it gets better. The most important thing is to remain true to yourself." That evening, as I tucked him into bed, I pondered our transformation, from a once marginalized accountant for the Smith family to the woman who rescued their business. The fairy tale endings we dream about don't always come to pass. Sometimes, they turn out to be even more wonderful than we expected.